It's not something that you really should do logically. This role has been interpreted so beautifully.
I think the Joker would like 30 Seconds to Mars.
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, the Infuso. And today, I'm going to discuss the worst of the best. The most awful take on something awesome. I'm talking, of course, about Jared Leto's time as the Joker. Now, this is definitely not something that's been understated. I think almost universally as a society, we've come to accept that Jared Leto was almost as awful in these movies as he is in real life. Yet still, this iteration of the character does have some fans, which confuses me almost as much as Jared Leto still having some fans. So, I guess it fits. Now, for all the bad and bizarre things that could be said for Jared Leto, like how the man is literally currently a cult leader, he isn't a bad actor. Or at least he wasn't at one point in time. Because I don't know what happened here. I don't know what inspired Jared Leto to play the Joker as if he were the human embodiment of a non-stop cringe compilation, but I really wish he would stop smoking it. The Joker is so irredeemably bad that he not only fails the character that he's based on, but just also fails as a character in general.
I could tell you meant that.
He's an attack on the audience's senses, harmful to viewers' eyes and ears, and the taste buds of anyone who has taste. If we're going to talk about how this guy fails, I mean, this guy fails on every level. Let's just start with the way that he looks. Alright, I think that speaks for itself. Let's move on. It would be that easy. Honestly, that's all it takes. But I'll go ahead and dissect just why this is so awful. First off, he doesn't resemble the character that he's based on in any way, shape, or form. Not even slightly. There have been all different types of iterations of this character, and this looks like none of them. I mean, the lack of effort that was put into this character design is honestly some next level stuff. They just gave Punkos Crunk over here green hair and a purple glove and went, alright, that's that, let's move on. What's next? What were they even going for? The grills, the tattoos? Even all these years later, I can't seem to convince myself that this is real. This isn't even a fever dream, it's a fever nightmare ripped into our reality, Freddy Krueger style. Even if we completely forget about who it is he's supposed to be portraying, this is beyond goofy. The guy's posing as if he's auditioning for Home Alone 7, and he's got this weird, I was a huge MySpace star in 2007 aesthetic. He looks like an album cover I would have bought in an old school Hot Topic. If this Joker was a product, he would be sold at Spencer's. Generally speaking, I'm not really in favor of a tatted up Joker. That's coming from a guy who's got tattoos. That just doesn't seem like his style to me. It doesn't seem to fit the character. If I could look past that and just judge these tattoos for what they are, it looks like they put as much thought into this character's tattoos as I put into my own tattoos that I got when I was 18. I mean, seriously, what are these tattoos? Jester cap, smiles, playing cards, ha ha ha. Oh, I get it, cause Joker. Yeah, no, that's good. That's clever. Took me a second there because it's very subtle. Then they put damaged across his forehead because they really thought they were making some sort of statement with that one. Look at the tragic beauty. This movie in general has all the depth of a 2000s music video, and yet it wants to act like it's artsy. You know, it's like a weird thing to be pretentious in. They should have saved themselves time instead of putting that across Jared Leto's head just printed right across the cover of the script. The only one that stands out to me as not being entirely terrible is the dead bird with the arrow going through it. That's not a bad reference, honestly. Everything else is awful, but that one's almost something. I really loathe the fact that they tried to justify the Joker's namesake by getting him a set of grills. That is such a dumb idea for the character, and it seems like their attempt to make a change just to say that they made a change. I think what's most striking about this is the absolute lack and overall resentment of subtlety this version of the character has. It may be the most loud, in-your-face, gross versions of the character, and I'm saying this including the one who literally ripped his own face off. Now, to its credit, this look does demand attention, and it is quite shocking to look at, which I sort of think is in tune with the character. This guy looks like he's always the center of attention and the topic of conversation. He's so over the top in presentation that how could you not notice him? And if his appearance wasn't loud enough, he himself certainly is. Just as distinct and recognizable as his aesthetic. is his equally repulsive voice, which is really all over the place. At times, it sounds like your friend's worst Heath Ledger impression, just with an added sense of uncertainty and inflection and squeaky grunts. And at other times, it just sounds like an actor desperately trying to fake a voice he practiced twice through a set of prosthetics that were super glued onto his teeth. But even worse than his speaking voice, his laugh is so unsettling. But not like creepy unsettling, like annoying unsettling. He doesn't sound menacing, he just sounds like a dude with a strange laugh. I mean, it's weird, sure, but it's not, scary. The guy just sounds like he found something hysterical while he had a cold. Which leads me to ask, how did this guy get cast in this role? You cast a Joker who can't laugh? Or act, apparently? It just seems like that would be a pretty integral part of the character that you think would make or break a performance. The character doesn't get any better when it comes to characterization. He carries next to no qualities of the character that he's based on. I think out of everyone to ever play the character, he looks the most clueless in the role. But to his credit, he's also very confident in his incompetence. Jared Leto proudly struts around and puts passion into every part of this performance. You can really tell that he tried. Like, you could tell that he really tried. Really hard. He tried too hard. And because of that, the Joker comes off as very try-hard. There's never a moment with the character on screen where he feels genuine or authentic. There are definitely moments where you can feel the original character's unpredictability come through this performance, because you never know what he'll do next, and you'll never guess why he did it. In those ways, he feels true to the spirit of the source. But in every other way, he feels like a soulless attempt at modernizing a timeless classic. On some level, it feels like this movie was really trying to replicate Heath Ledger's performance, at least conceptually. Trying to depict the Joker as the mere concept of chaos. Except, this isn't the right movie for that type of character. That version of the Joker simply wouldn't work in this environment. That's a complex, three-dimensional character, and this is a very doofy comic book movie that prides itself with how edgy it is. This is neither the right time nor the right place for that type of character. Completely wrong enclosure. On top of that, it doesn't seem like the writing team could articulate the character's nature, so they just have the Joker come out and say,
I am not someone who is loved. I'm an idea.
Being that movies are a visual medium, the idea is to show and not tell. This not only tells and doesn't show, but this also insists upon itself. I am an idea. I guess to be fair, The Dark Knight's Joker spent a lot of the runtime self-analyzing his own actions as well. Guy's dialogue made it seem like he was writing a thesis for the movie that he was in. But at least in that case, the lines felt thought out and well written. Entirely inauthentic to the way real humans speak and would address situations, but well written and articulated nonetheless. To call Jared Leto's Joker a discount dollar store version of Heath Ledger's Joker would still be an insult to Heath Ledger. Ledger's Joker had depth, whereas I could stand in a puddle of Leto's Joker and not get wet. Because of this variant of the character essentially spitting in the face of subtlety while being showcased as an absolute nitwit, it's especially hard to buy into a lot of the story surrounding the character. I can't imagine a lunatic like him would wind up running a mob. I can imagine him dabbling in the criminal underworld, but taking it over seems like an impossibility. Much more importantly, it's hard for me to imagine that this Joker would be able to charm and seduce Harley into a life of villainy. It is still absolutely maddening to me how this movie depicted the Madman. If we're judging the performance based on the outrageousness of the character, then we could say it's a solid interpretation of Batman's greatest foe. However, what's missing is the reason, the method behind the madness. The Joker doesn't do things to serve his cause or further his agendas in this. And mind you, every Joker, even the self-proclaimed anarchists, all have agendas. This guy just does things to do them. Joker's unpredictable, sure, and while he definitely can't be reasoned with, he still does things with reason. There's a purpose for his actions. This Joker's just missing the plot, which makes sense as he's hardly even involved in the one that he's in. Another big reason this version of the character is so lackluster is because there isn't much of a Batman and Joker dynamic presented in this line of films. They're enemies with a history, sure, but their relationship is tragically underwritten and not given any attention. Joker just comes off as any other villain to Batman, and Batman really comes off as someone who gets in the way of Joker's plans. Where is the borderline obsession Joker has for the Bat? The hatred wrapped up in awe and curiosity. There's none of that.
I think that, the Bat is a lot of fun.
In its place, we got Ronnie Radke trying to look like a SoundCloud rapper. Excluding Batman from the Joker story isn't impossible. Joaquin Phoenix is having a pretty good run in a Batman-less Joker universe, but that fact is much harder to overlook when a Batman and a Joker are shown to exist in the same universe, but have limited interaction. The few bits where we see this Batman and Joker collide are not great, and it to me shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the Joker character overall. Suicide Squad paints a picture that's an imperfect portrait. In this, Batman's just sort of a nuisance to Joker. He gets in his way of having fun, he stops his crime spree. A more accurate depiction of the two would see Batman be what inspires Joker's latest crime spree, because getting one over on Batman is the Joker's way of having fun. The truth of the matter is, these movies didn't really give us the Joker. They gave us Harley Quinn's boyfriend, because that's the Joker's role in this universe. He's introduced merely as a backdrop for Harley, he plays his part in her origin story, and then after that, he has no purpose. He is her plus one. He is just an extension of the Harley Quinn character. In Suicide Squad, he's only there to set up his significant other. And then by Birds of Prey, they've already broken up off screen. He's still mentioned a lot in that movie, but that's mainly because it's a Harley Quinn-led movie, and that's his purpose, to play a part in the life of Harley Quinn. That is the focal point for this character in this line of films. He's Harley's man, sometimes. I usually don't blame actors for their portrayals in movies, at least not in full. I think a lot of the blame has to ultimately fall on the director and those in charge of creative. That's why you have a lot of actors who've won prestigious awards and Razzies alike. It's all about who's in charge creatively. But in this case, Jared Leto was granted a lot of creative freedom, and it seems like both he and David Ayer sort of carved out the character themselves.
How much say did you actually have in the look of the Joker?
A lot. David Ayer and I really collaborated on the Joker.
This is their creative baby, and I really wish that it would have been aborted. If this is their shared vision, as The Offspring once sang, you gotta keep them separate. Jared Leto was the master of his own destiny and destruction in this line of films, in this cinematic universe. Now, with all this being said, I'm willing to admit two things about this version of the character. One, I thought he and Margot Robbie worked very well together at times. That one scene of Joker performing Harley's rechristening, I think that's actually kind of great. I find it to be that movie's main highlight. While I think Jared Leto's Joker was completely intolerable throughout that entire movie, I do, however, think that Margot Robbie made him a little bit less intolerable. And two, despite it being entirely unneeded and completely unnecessary, and even though it was included in an extended ending epilogue that never needed to exist, Zack Snyder directed Jared Leto to a significantly better performance with a better overall character design. That scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League gave us everything that was missing in his prior depiction. We definitely get a better insight into his relationship with Batman. The obsession is suddenly present. Batman doesn't seem like an annoyance to the clown, but instead a driving factor. Although the clown does seem very much like an annoyance to him, which is right up the right alley. The Joker's speech pattern is also much better here, and much closer to the original character. Unfortunately, he's still being played by Jared Leto, so you still get lines like this.
Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around?
But, what can you do? It can only be so good. This is honestly the best use of this version of the character, and I think that in this one scene, it's good enough to be a passable performance. It's not great by any means, but it's pretty okay. And pretty okay is an upgrade of seismic proportions in compared to the travesty that came before it. If we would have gotten more of this version of the character, I think everyone, myself included, would have been much more favorable of him. but I still don't think that he would have made a lot of top 10 lists. Seeing what we got and what we could have gotten makes this feel like a real missed opportunity. Jared Leto's Joker could have been better. I don't think he was ever going to be a great Joker, but I do think he might have been able to be a good one. Under the right supervision, given the right guidance, and given significantly less creative control. Ultimately, without a shadow of a doubt, for all the reasons I've listed, and even a couple more that I haven't, I believe this is the all-time worst Joker. Usually this is the part where I ask you to leave a comment, but in lieu of a phrase to repeat, I'm going to ask that everyone who liked this video let me know by giving me their own take in the comment section below. Was this the worst Joker? Let me know. And if it isn't, then who is? Because I've seen I think almost every Joker, and I don't think that there ever could be one worse than this. I mean, Young Justice is cutting it pretty close. Sorry, Brent. I don't think that there's any worse than this. This is an all-time low. Anyway, with all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and I thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.